Starting, it's really my great pleasure to have Mette Kierkgaard, our Minister for Senior Citizen here in Denmark, attending ARDD. Mette represents the sort of like a critical component, I would say, for our hope to impact society and make everybody healthier for a little bit longer. And so I'm really excited and extremely happy that you're here today to tell us a little bit about what we do here in Denmark.
Thank you. Thank you, Morten, for the introduction, and thank you all for also inviting me to speak at this conference. I'm very happy to be here. As a Minister of Senior Citizens, it's a pleasure and a privilege to speak before such a knowledgeable audience, all dedicating your research to aging studies. And as I'm sure you all know, we face demographic changes in the coming years. Populations around the world are aging. This goes for Europe in particular, and Denmark is no exception to this trend. In 2050, the proportion of the Danish population aged 67 years or more is expected to be as high as 23%. Thus, due to an increasing senior population, we face a situation where our ability as a society to meet the needs for care and health service are challenged. Denmark, as you probably know, is known around the world for our universal welfare system. In Denmark, all citizens are guaranteed care and health services from a common tax-funded welfare system. This system was developed up through the 20th century as a response to challenges with poverty and inequality. It has helped us raise living standards substantially and contributed significantly to the safe and secure society we have today. And its universal approach and overhauling funding through taxes ensure that no one risks financial ruin as a result of illness or of old age. But this insurance rests on the relative balance in numbers of those providing the care and those in need of the services. And with this balance tipping to the one side, the system can no longer hold up. Time and its changing population patterns are overtaking it and threatening to cause serious erosion in its foundation. Moreover, the population's trust in the system is declining, and so is the population's confidence that when they grow old, they will be offered the care that they need. And the situation is that if we don't take action now, the system will lose its basic sustainability. In short, we need to rethink the Danish welfare model. We need to adjust and define the model so that it fits our current reality better. And we need to future-proof it in order not to throw overboard what we have built up over so many decades. This future-proofing of our Danish model has several components to it, and I would like to present just a few of them to you today. One key component has to do with activating civil society. And allow me to explain. I'm a great fan of the Scandinavian welfare system, with its safety net and financial security, as I mentioned. But as implied, the system has its weaknesses too. An extensive public sector is good for many things, but no matter how high the level of service, it cannot bring life quality and the joy of life into people's lives. Professional and splendid experts in providing care and welfare services but they can never replace the value of human relation devoid of financial transactions. And this is exactly where civil society has a potential valuable part to play. What we need, therefore, is to activate communities around the elderly, sons, daughters, friends, neighbors, organizations, more than is the case today. In many countries, and I'm sure in many of your countries, this sort of contribution by relatives is self-evident, but in a welfare state like Denmark, the tasks surrounding our elderly have almost exclusively been outsourced to the state. And this is not sustainable from a future perspective, and we therefore need our local communities to take the field and take a more active part in the support of our senior citizens. It is time for us in Denmark to have the state step back a little and allow for local communities to shine and bring to the table more to the table what local communities do best. Another issue to be dealt with has to do with a bug which has evolved in our welfare system over the years, namely the bug of bureaucracy. Over time, an abundance of rules and regulations has accumulated so that we now witness a system weighed down by its own good intentions. Any rule or law has of course been invented and implemented for a reason, but the amount of bureaucracy in Denmark has by now reached a level where too much of the caregiver's time is spent documenting their routines and their compliance with the rules. This is time better spent in close human interaction with the elderly themselves. So the clever and highly necessary response to this is to sanitize the field. We need to liberate the caregivers from the weight of documentation and replace it with trust. Trust in the caregiver's ability to make professionally based decisions in close dialogue with the caregiver or with the care receivers, the elderly, instead of decisions being made in a municipal administration far from the elderly themselves. A key in this moment from uniformity to diversity, and understanding that elderly people are as diverse and have as diverse needs as the rest of us. And understanding that one size does not fit all, and that centralized standards are not the solution to everything. And an understanding that for this decentralization of responsibility to work, professionals of various disciplines, nurses, doctors, healthcare assistants, and other professions need to work closely together in order to bring the best possible care to the elderly. Third, and finally, I would like to address the third and very important aspect in meeting this democratic challenge facing us, namely the introduction to the welfare sector of technological solutions. As you probably know, the technological development are booming in these years, and I see a great potential in applying technological solutions also to the welfare field. Many such solutions are already at hand, and the challenges for us lie in implementation and scaling of its use. And if used smartly, technology may liberate human resources for tasks actually requiring a human to perform. Examples of potentially helpful welfare technology could be, for instance, medicine dispensers, eating robots, digital video calls, or glasses with devices detecting how much the user has consumed. During a recent visit to a care unit, I participated in a video call to an elderly gentleman who has a digital medicine dispenser in his home. And this dispenser tells him when to take his medicine, and it also detects whether he has done so. And at the same time, the man receives a video call from a caregiver checking in on him. With this routine, the caregivers manage to check in on far more people each day than if needed if they had to be physically present. This enables them to concentrate their actual present time on those who is in need of it most. And for the elderly person, the routine increases the personal freedom in that they don't need to sit around waiting for the caregiver to arrive and give them their medicine. This particular elderly gentleman that I visited, at least, had no reservations whatsoever about the procedure. Quite on the contrary, he greatly appreciated it and reported that it made him feel more secure. So in other words, when we apply technological solutions to the welfare sector, we feed two birds with one stone. Liberating human resources on the one hand, and increasing the care recipient personal freedoms on the other hand. Technology may give elderly people, like our gentleman with the medicine dispenser, more independence to live good lives in safe environments, thus supporting his personal integrity and dignity. And in addition, welfare technology may contribute to easing the work pressure on the employee. Heavy tasks can be performed by machines, and routine tasks can be automated. So caregivers may concentrate their focus on being physically present where human interaction is crucial and needed. And in this manner also increasing their job satisfaction. And accordingly, as job satisfaction increases, welfare technology may raise the attraction to these jobs and support recruitment in times of a dwindling workforce. The use of welfare technology should, of course, always be based on the resources and needs of the individual elderly user, including an assessment of their actual ability to use the technology in a fruitful way. And digital rights is, of course, also a key aspect to bear in mind when applying technology onto the elderly or elder care field. But all in all, developing and applying technology onto this field may very well turn into a win-win-win solution. A win for the elderly, for the employees, and for our society. So, up until now, I have talked about the challenges to our welfare system and what actions we can picture as solutions, the mobilization of civil society, the decentralization of the care sectors, and finally, the introduction of welfare technology. The current trend of aging populations poses an actual challenge which should indeed be taken seriously, as I've been talking about. But at the same time, we should remind ourselves that there's a front side to the coin too, in the sense that there's also a positive story to be told about the expected demographic changes. As we grow older, many of us live healthier lives longer than before. We live active lives with hobbies, travel, grandchildren, and family, and many reach an older age before we come to need the care services that we have addressed today. And that is great news. And as we prepare ourselves open-mindedly for the challenges I have talked about, we should also rejoice in its fortunate aspect of facing an aging population. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Mette. We have time for a few questions. We have one from Nia Baselai. Maybe you can also just briefly say who you are.
Thank you so much. I'm a professor of medicine and head of a big institute for biology of aging. And in fact, you just played it for us because our solution is to make the elderly healthier so they don't need a lot of the things that are bothering. So thank you for that. Now, I have to say, in the United States, healthcare from a longevity perspective is one of the worst in the world. You're 30 places better than the United States, but our politicians are saying we're the best in the world, and that's why they don't want to hear from anybody else. So my question for you, there are other countries that have exactly the same problem, whether in Scandinavia or in Asia. Is there something generic? Is there a solution? Do you talk with others, and are there solutions that are kind of coming up that's helping all the countries?
Yes, thank you for the question, and I agree very much that what you address is that it's actually a global problem, and what you also address is that research is very, very important. I'm actually a researcher myself before becoming a politician, but politics as well is as important to point to and make policies happen at the area. Also, I actually agree with what you say, that the political community and the political communication about all the aspects and problems and potentials in elderly care has a big potential still. I've been occupied a little with within the European Union because, you know, in the elderly sector, there's no, what do you call it, obligations to work and no common policies on a European level. But that's one of when Denmark in the coming years actually will be having the foremanship of the European Union, will be one of my ambitions, that we need to develop more communication, more knowledge also on both a political level, but also in the administration, because often if administration across nations communicate, they also learn from each other. Yeah, so I basically agree on your potential, I would call it. Yeah, thank you.
If I may ask a quick question
yes,
also.
Sure,
now
sure,
we are at the Aging Research and Drug Discovery meeting, and you mentioned sort of technology as a way to aid the elderly. I know that there are people from Novo Nordisk in the audience, and there are people from other big pharmaceutical companies. How do you see the possibility of incentivizing more research and more maybe drug development? Is that something that would be of interest for, as a governmental policy, to drive healthy aging?
Yeah, so you talk about research in drugs and medicine and so on. And of course, this is, in Denmark, we are both a Minister of the Senior Citizens and of course a health minister, and it's very much within her area. But from my point of view, we always need to stand on knowledge. I mean, also as politicians, to stand on what we know, and especially in such important areas as welfare and aging. And just to take an example, why it's important is that, as you all know, in Denmark also we have been working a lot with healthy aging, trying to prevent that we actually become ill and illnesses. And we had a much more positive expectation about what are actually the effects of positive aging. So from a political point of view, we have invested a lot of money in preventing aging, but maybe the effects are not that major as we expected, and we only know that because of research. So as a general point of view, and I know also my colleague, Minister of Health, is very fond of research, and that we need to stand on the basis of research. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mette. That was really excellent.
Thank you.
Amazing presentation.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.